Okay, hi. So my name is Carrie Johnston, and we're filming today from the traditional territory of Champin-a-Najac First Nations in Dakwakata-Haines Junction. And my guest today is Teena Dickson, and Teena is in Kwanlin Whitehorse in the traditional territory of Ta'anquichin Council and Kwanlin Dun First Nation. Welcome, Teena.
Good morning. How are you, Carrie? Thanks for having me today.
I'm great. Thanks for being here. So tell us a little bit about who you are as an entrepreneur and what you do.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I'm a lifelong Yukoner. I'm originally from Northwest Territories. Our entrepreneur background is extensive in tourism in various sectors from long time, my husband's family, Dickson Outfitters, is of course been in the Yukon for over probably, we're thinking about 116 years, 1903. It started with the first trip. So we definitely have been multi-generational and then expanded more into tourism. Who, What, Where Tours is our day tour company where we offer experiences for visitors from around the world, as Dickson Outfitters focuses on multi-day trips. So, and always some other projects on the go as well.
So tourism-based businesses, both short-term and long-term, what are you learning about your business model in this pandemic?
Well, you go through phases, first of all, and it's definitely when you have a lot of connections in the community, you have a lot of support, and the community has always been really close to us, both as relations, but making sure that we have ideas, and we're always talking, and kind of getting over that anger stage to what else can we do? We have to keep moving forward. And Yukon people are very resilient, as we know, and also creative, as we have an amazing backyard. So we definitely take advantage of that when it comes to some other ideas.
So like the traditional model that you've been operating on, the ability to take people on sort of multi-day hunts, is that available to you right now? Is that client base there, or are the restrictions of the pandemic making that not available?
We are definitely restricted, so both on an international level and on a territorial level. And so I think we're in like week 14 now, where we have had no visitors, no outside guests who are always part of us. We have either crew that are both local and from outside, and our visitors. Yeah, things are, so that has allowed us to reconnect, spend some time, and recognize that yeah, it's our life. It's not our lifestyle. It's you are used to dealing with visitors every day, either it be text, phone calls, email, or face to face, right? Driving in vans. That's our life is out there. So to go the longest, we're on month 4 without having a visitor, and it's not even about their experience, it's our experience, because that's what we're used to. So it's almost like the empty nest syndrome, in a way that you just go, okay, yeah. And all our Zoom meetings and interactions are all to do with government and regulation and restriction, and it's the waiting game. And usually, entrepreneurs are pretty forward-thinking people. We control a lot of our destiny. Our thoughts are what we're doing. This is bigger than us, unfortunately. And so outgoing people like us, it's made us really, really step back and try and reflect, and then time to move forward. So we're doing both.
Just something that you said there, like it's your life, and I always used to say too, when I was guiding, like my life right now is somebody else's dream vacation. And that's like, like that connection that you get to share of making that experience happen for people, and how connected you are to that experience. And yeah, it's hard. Hey,
well, people, I have reminded, because our children are involved, friends, everyone just knows that this is our busy time. From May until October, you're not going to see the Dicksons. Because if you are, you're going to be loaded in a van, you're going to be on a horse, you're going to be on a trail, you're going to be on a ride along. That is our state. And then so people are seeing us now, and I'm having full conversations. My phone is completely dead. And that is just, people are like, wow, you're pretty calm right now. And it's like, well, yeah. So my new phrase is kind of like, oh yeah, I have time now. We have time. Yep. So you're reconnecting, but yeah, there's zero revenue. You went through the refund process phase, really looking at policies, looking at tweaking internally of new ways of doing business, because no one wrote a book for this chapter. And this chapter, people have really, other business have really turned to each other and said, oh, what are you doing? How are you changing? Or how are you answering this? And that's where we've really gets back to your core values and your business philosophy and how you deal with your customers and how you've attracted them and kept them and will keep them in the future. And so what someone else might be doing or responding to in the pandemic, we might be responding in a different way, because that's our life, and we want to make sure they come back someday or in the near future as we wait for, hopefully, borders to open up.
I've heard that a lot in this podcast series about people like really focusing on their back end. You've got this like forced pause. So it's an opportunity to kind of clean up your administrative processes and think about those, like how you're making yourself more resilient to, when your clients are coming back. So, and you talked a little bit about your clients in there. Can you tell us what you're learning about your customer, about Yukoners right now? What's kind of the feedback that you're getting?
Well, so we based on both companies, we have two really different clientele. The multi-day clientele is a more high-end experience product. So they do a lot more planning, a lot more research, a lot more investment. And so the more money they spend, they seem to be a little bit more relaxed in terms of, because they're used to dealing with, they book a year, 2 years out to plan their Yukon trip. My day clients that maybe are coming to the Yukon, and we're only going to be part of their experience, but it's an important experience. Maybe they're going to do a day trip with us to Kalani or down to Skagway, or we are going to do something special, maybe a hike in the afternoon. They're much more worried because they're super planners, right? They've squished as much things in as they can in their 9-day once in a lifetime trip to the Yukon. So when one little fragment piece, and they usually overplan a little bit, they're light explorers, they need our support. We're logistic experts. They've relied on us to make sure that their experience fits. And you have a lot more communications with them. The smaller trip, and I don't mean, but the lighter experience, they seem to be a lot more worried than the multi-day, because you've built up a much more solid relationship and file with that clientele. And so we deal with a lot of domestic, Canada, US, and then our day is much more international, where it might be Australia, New Zealand. It's all the English-speaking countries, as our guides are local, so we are not offering in different translation services. However, they're welcome to bring a translator with them. So yeah, you're learning just a little bit more how people are dealing with crisis, really, and they really turn to you for advice in this time and what they're doing. And I'm not the president or the prime minister to be able to answer border questions, but they're hoping to hear the right answers, right? Because they've invested so much time with booking with you, because you're a Yukon ambassador. You know the lay of the land, you know the people, you've created and offered a lot of suggestions to make their experience. So they're kind of relying on you for the next step as well.
Yeah, and like as a guide, you're a leader, right? Like you're leading a group of people around. So what are you learning about yourself and leadership as an entrepreneur right now?
Hmm. Um, well, you definitely have. I always say that you're, well, one, I'm a Gemini, so a born leader. Let's just put that out there. And so the 360, we're adaptable, creative. We also, I have a team that really look to me for advice, as most of the staff have been laid off, and trying to come up with some other projects and support them and just have that day to day. I mean, we're used to having people at our home office every day walking in the door at 7:30, and it's quiet. So you try to keep those connections, or just touch base with people. And as a leader, I think leadership is all about communicating, right? And having those good communication skills. So whether it be through social media, is kind of my marketing campaign has switched a little bit more to um, reminding Yukoners that we're still here, and that tourism is an important part of our economy and our sector, but also just switching it a little bit to get people to recognize our backyard and the value, and we have it to ourselves right now to, I call it our Yukon, and to go out and experience it, because there's no visitors here, and we might not be making any money, like zero revenue at all, but it's keeping us out there because it's the community that sells us, promotes us, as opposed to, yeah, we do the big national marketing campaigns and international, but my heart and soul is Yukoners, because we're 100% made in the Yukon. So I have a really different model in terms of promotion. It's and they will, when people slowly want to start coming back here to visit us, whether it be especially the domestic market, it's your friends, it's your family, so you're going to remember to message about us and say, oh, well, I know who what where is still, they're still operating, and they're pumped, they're ready, they're licensed, they've kept up on everything, because we're here. It doesn't take a lot for us to mobilize, because we are here. And so I'm trying to get our Yukoners to go out and kind of enjoy some visitor experiences. They don't need me. Yukoners are fiercely independent. They might not spend a lot of money, but they're going to have that experience out on the land that people pay us to do every day. So it's a gentle reminder and messaging in kind of a reverse way.
Yeah, I mean, that's for domestic clients. Like they don't always think about always hiring a guide, but it's like that's that awesome opportunity to engage with locals and kind of get that like insider information, or see through the worldview of somebody who's from the Yukon while they're experiencing the Yukon. And that's a great opportunity. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you pivoting your business right now? Because you've just talked about not having any revenue. So what are you doing? Like what's
Well,
next?
well, so we're never going to have the revenue that we had, because I've put so much back out to our. I've really, with refunds and cancellations, have valued our client, and have returned a lot of refunds and cancellation monies, because I know they're going to come back, and that's just my business model. So money is going out the door continuously. However, I'm investing in their future planning, and with that in mind, I'm tired of meetings. I think a lot of us, we don't have time to do a lot of the funding applications, and hearing continuous government this, government that. As a business, part of that sustainability and being an entrepreneur is not relying on public dollars all the time. It's if you started this with zero money and built it then that just gives you that much more resilience to move forward and not sit there and go, oh my gosh, okay, I need to do this, Grant, because it's kind of diverting you a little bit down that dependency road. And anyone who knows me is I'm fiercely independent and have this thing about just trying to find our way. And we're lucky that we've been in business long enough. I think I'm on 28 years now, that I might not have as many bills, but as an entrepreneur, you take continuous risk, and the pandemic timing was actually really good, because like if it was anywhere else in the calendar year, because March, April, May is your quiet time. That's when you're doing your staff training. That's when you get to go on a holiday in April. Well, that didn't happen, obviously, but it gave you some time to go. And I guess the word people are using is pivot. That's such a hot word. So I'm not really one on hot words. So like I'm always trying to go, okay, they're using pivot. I want to come up with a different word, and spinning doesn't sound good neither. So I haven't came up with that new word, pivot, or the new normal. That one drives me crazy too. It's not normal. This is not normal, and it won't. So those two hot words for this pandemic drive me crazy. So we're kind of going down a different road, because I'm in a van, I'm driving. So I think of it as going down a road that I never get to tour. That's how I look at it. And we're working with another industry, which is a very interesting industry, with my latest project. And it won't take me over, but it keeps your mind. You need to be energized. You need to, anyone that's in business or has a kind of a type A personality like me, or is a Gemini, as I mentioned, we're always looking out of the nest, out of down the road, in the ditch, where else. And morel mushrooms, we have 5 fires last year. And so there's an opportunity with the crazy world of mushrooms, which are very, I don't know how to word it, but I did work with it about 8 years ago with an outside company. So they phoned me up out of the blue, Ponderosa Mushrooms, out of British Columbia, and they need a local logistic expert, and Yukon, community relations. That's us. That's what we're about. So we saw an opportunity. They can't come in because of the restrictions with their buyers, with their pickers. So we jumped on it to be well. I can train my guides. They're versatile. They're sitting idle and are anxious to get on the road and anxious to talk to people. That's what we do best. So we saw opportunity there and jumped on it. And of course, the fires are out in rural Yukon, and engage in community process with our with you, Carrie, and what you're currently doing with some of the community relations, as well as being the local buyer. And as a local buyer, there's lots of opportunity to get our people, our communities out, and getting them harvesting. This is also harvest is a big northern word. We're not hunting right now, but it's agriculture is growing, and local food sourcing is another very hot topic. And people are not working and have time, and people want to be outdoors. We have 24-hour daylight. Morel mushrooms is a cash industry. We want families to go out and harvest and bring that monies back to their communities. And we, of course, partner with our local airline, Air North, to fly fresh back out of the territory and get it down to BC. So we're kind of the glue. We're kind of the middleman, and so you'll see vans on the road, but they're going to be full of mushrooms and not people. And we're going to see our guides on the front line, talking with the communities again, talking with Yukoners, and as an Indigenous-owned company, also we saw that even that's even more key to make sure that our people are understanding that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, that the Yukon's borders are closed to outsiders. So you have the whole crop, you have the whole land, you have everything for yourself and your family and your people in your backyard to make some money, to enjoy being out there and doing something new too, right? Lots of people might not have. We're getting calls all the time about, okay, how do you pick where am I supposed to go? What am I doing? I have time, my family, my children, and that's kind of exciting. So that's renewed energy for us. So yeah.
That's, gosh, my heart is just like, I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you're bringing this to this opportunity to the Yukon and promoting it the way you are. It's good.
Yeah, definitely. And our team is happy. When we were loading them up, and we have no idea, the season could be 3 weeks, 4 weeks, but it gets you through that time where all of us are usually so focused with people in our vans, and it's just that time. We're seasonal people, so we should be out right now doing something. So they're excited to learn something new. There's going to be some takeaways for them, because they're on the front line doing sales. That's usually me doing all the sales and pitching in our office team. And now our guides get to kind of show their stuff, and also they're having to go down a different road too. And so there's a real great spin off there. And it's not just about me kind of leading the bus. They're leading their own bus. And the more they sell, the more money they make. So they have a vested interest as well. It's empowering people, right? And that's going back to your leadership question. It's not, I have those tools in my belt, and they're continuously changing. I change out my tools, but I'm building capacity in other people's tool belts.
That's so much what we hear in this podcast series too, is about like that idea of lifelong learning and personal growth. And I was even just thinking, like, when I used to work as a cook in camps, and that was what I would do, is go out on the land and learn what this, take out my books and learn what is this thing that I'm seeing, and how can I utilize it in what I'm cooking or whatever it was. And it was actually morel mushrooms and spruce tips, like this early season stuff that
Yeah.
kind of got me really excited about learning more about all of this backyard that we have here. So that's really neat to see that empowerment.
And the further empowerment, besides from like a business and growing people, but this is because of the pandemic, people's mindset, we need to, it's that reset button. And this is a chance. This is a really, I'm not going to make a ton of money, but what I'm going to do is make a ton of people reset and rethink and refocus and maybe rejuvenate, because we are going into our different phases of reopening. And so this might be just a little kickstart that people need to get back and get their families back reconnected, get back into the workplace, not rely on just government monies that are going to be running out. It's a limited time. Morels are a limited time, but there's another opportunity down that other road that people don't go to.
Mm-hmm. You just talked a little bit about this idea that we're reopening, or sort of whatever phase of this pandemic that we're in, and this opportunity for reset. So what do you, when you're looking forward for the Yukon, what do you hope sort of changes about our business models, our economic development here in the territory? What do you want to see happen after this reset?
I got answers on that one, definitely. Well, as a small business, as a local business, as someone who has invested my life, our family, our friends, our we promote and support so many other businesses on our tours every day. We make it a reality tour where if someone needs to go to the washroom or is thirsty, I stop at that little ma and pa shop on the corner. I stop at the little place and go, oh, hey, guys, we're ahead of schedule. Let's stop here and do a little 5 minute. And if you're going to use the washroom, you need to go buy something. But great people, great, and you have a chance to promote. And what I want to see come out of this is, well, small business survive, that started here, that decided to be here, but also other Yukoners really stepping up to know which businesses those are, and support them in their new adventure that might be, because I'm seeing other businesses do some things that I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool, but I want the other Yukoners to support them. And I'm also, I have Northern attitude about this, and anyone that knows me, I am fierce that it's fine for competition and outside business, but remember who the heart and soul people are of the Yukon that came here, whether it be Gold Rush or way before that with our Indigenous families and people that started something here. And so when I'm on social media and I see people going, oh yeah, they're supporting this business, I'll private message them and go, oh, just to let you know, there's, these guys are actually, they don't live here, they're not from here, they're not an outside, they're not a Yukon business. And people are like, oh, I honestly didn't know that. Thank you for telling me. And I'm not trying to squash the people, but it's a gentle reminder that we really need to support Yukon business. And I'm huge about that.
Mm-hmm. And economic development, it is it's the community itself that creates the economy. Without the community being there, the economy doesn't exist. Sometimes we think it's the opposite, right? And so it is that real circular focus as much as we can. Like, we need the outside, and some of those outside influences are really, they bring a lot to us, but it is also about ensuring that part of what we do, part of how we operate is really focusing on that local economy.
Yeah, and I've always said, like, our company, and that's why the owl is our symbol. One of our logos is because the owl is 360. They're storytellers. They're wise. There's over 500 varieties of an owl, and we're observers. We're the eyes and ears out there, and our guides and our team we try to empower other companies, or maybe people that might not know, I would say, the laws of the land, or the considerations, or that respect when going into the community. Where if I'm somewhere at a rest area and there's another tour company and I see them maybe not doing something that I take an opportunity to, one, make that a lesson for my visitors, my audience. I have like captive people in my van that I have a mic and I can share a story or experience. So when they're out exploring on their own, they're like, oh yeah, I remember Teena saying, don't idle at rest area stops. I don't want to hear of idling vehicles. I want to hear peace and quiet and enjoy. People come here for wilderness. They come here for nature. They come here to get away from that. So we're very vocal in a respectful manner to other companies, but also people turn to us, and and we're involved in a lot of organizations and associations and that because we care, right? And we try to pass that on. So yeah. It's always interesting, our stories at the end of the day. I will write a book one day or do something crazy, because wow, the other added experiences on our offerings is the end of the day, just go, wow, that I so didn't expect, and some really heartfelt stories as well. So yeah, we're storytellers on wheels is what we are.
That's a wonderful way of saying it. I think even in what you're saying there too is this idea of like sharing your worldview with your clients, sharing this way that you see the land, this way that you see the Yukon. without the engine sound or whatever it is, but like your worldview and how you can bring that to your guest. So, when we talk about worldview, those things are, and creating an opportunity for one of your clients to be forever changed for the way that they look at the land, for the way that they look at the experience, and take that home with them back to wherever they're from. So have you had any worldview shifts during this pandemic where, the way you saw things before are different and you'll never quite see the world the same way?
No. Because, well, one, because I'm a forward thinker all the time. So I always see it through a different lens than other people. Like, and I talk about that, and I see that more and more at a meeting where I'm like, whoa, stop, everyone. No, that is how you should be seeing it. So other people are finally catching up to my lens. I'm sorry to say, but I see things. I have great intuition. I'm an intuitive person, and so I'm always 5 miles down the road before most other people are. So I share views where people go, I didn't really think about it that way. So I have a really, kind of a reverse. So this pandemic, just all it did was slow me down. And so maybe I'm not driving at 100 kilometers an hour. I'm driving at 50, but I'm still very going forward. So yeah, I don't really get stuck in the ditch or the rut or go. Some people know me that, it was pretty, and we wear our heart on our sleeves. We're emotional people because we care so much. And it's really hard for us type to slow down because we're multitasking type people. But I think things will get back to normal a lot sooner than later. And I know that people are going to come back to the Yukon because it's on their list. And maybe they're going to travel around their backyard, but I know they're coming back. And the Yukon is a pretty special place. So we have a natural ingredient and a natural kind of attraction in people's mind already. And we just need to keep feeding that dream and that vision. And that's what we are, visionaries.
In those opportunities for like this little bit of a break, what's kind of keeping you grounded? How are you finding your breath?
Well, I'm breathing a lot more. I guess I just get to more time with family. We've, because our kids are definitely young adults and have worked, and so we've kicked them out the door because they've had to go get other work. They were laid off too with the company, so they've in their young years of 18 and 23, they've only ever worked with the hype of our season, and it's given them opportunity to go down that other road too and go find other work and go work with other people and appreciate maybe the family company that they do work for and some of the perks and some of the challenges. And so they get to grow. But also I get to spend more time out on the land, a lot more time this year where I don't have people in tow, where I'm not having to interpretive chat. You can't help but go into that mode, and families and friends, they laugh all the time because I ask guide questions, right? Or I start telling a story. So I don't have a mic on. So I have a little more freedom to go down that trail where usually I have to stop because I have 10 people in tow, or so I get to be a little bit more of a visitor and have my own experiences with no one. And so, yeah, I'm not getting paid, but I get to go longer, right? Because I have more time. So anyone who knows me in the last 2 months, my new slogan is, I have time. Yeah, okay. So, because right now doing this podcast with you would be impossible any other year. But my phone's not ringing, so we're uninterrupted right now. This has never happened in a June ever.
And that's kind of exactly the point of this podcast, is to kind of capture these moments in time so that when we're looking back even in 20 years and thinking about like, what did we learn, what happened during this monumental event in sort of world history, it's capturing, because it will change all of our industries in small and big ways, right? So what happens in this reset moment, this opportunity that you've never had, to think about things just a little bit differently. Yeah.
Definitely. Yep.
Any songs, books, podcasts, movies, what that you'd recommend for people to think about, to listen to, it's getting you by, or you think everybody should have?
Oh my gosh. So, well, we listen to a lot of music because we're on the road, right? Anyone that knows me too, I don't have time to read books. Never have. This is the first year that I've read 3 books this year. That has never happened. So, and I know people, if anyone's watching or listening to me, they're completely laughing out loud, because if I can get through 1 chapter in a month, to actually sit still, or because I don't need a book to put me to sleep at night. I don't need music. I don't need anything. Songs, I haven't really found any new songs. I tend to be quite traditional in that way. So what it does is it allows me to listen to my music more and enjoy it, because there's no one around me. There's no one with me. So one book maybe lately that I'm reading right now is Daring Greatly, and I am also I'm a very spiritual person in my own way, but I've created my own spirituality. So, and it basically talks about, and it's funny, it's the timing of reading this book, because someone gave it to me, and they're a social worker, and I am so not a social worker or a government person. And they're like, they gave this book to me last year, and so I started reading it, and then actually, because I had nothing else to read at this cabin, I only had 1 book in my backpack, and it just happened to be that. So, and it's actually very, to open the page during this crisis, is very good timing, because it talks about change, and being a risk taker. We're as an entrepreneur, you have to be a risk taker, and daring greatly, and continuing to do that. So it might slow you down, but you still have to take risks, and daring greatly, and understanding people. And yeah, so it's pretty heavy, but I was like, I had a couple little aha moments where I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Someone else through Page, because I don't read a lot, was like, it reinforced really my mental state of what we're going through in this crisis right now. So it's kind of funny, because it's my 4th book, and I'm just like, and I don't read books like that, but it was the only book I had out of this cabin. I'm like, okay, I'll open the page with hesitance, and so it kind of reminds me of a counseling book or something. So, and then actually the first couple of pages were pretty good, and it talked about leadership and blah, blah, blah. So I kind of cracked up about that. So yeah.
You're not the first to recommend it on this podcast series. It's come up before, and I think a lot of leaders, a lot of entrepreneurs are finding a lot of strength in it. It speaks to people.
So, but no songs, nothing that. Yeah, and I screenshot a couple quotes here and there that maybe I might reflect back on once, but because I'm so forward thinking, I don't look back in my photos and slide. Like during social media, yes, I'll go back and look for that perfect photo, but that photos are very recent. It's not 3 years from now that I'm going to post that photo of where that happened. Everything's happening in the now, because that's really important. And I don't have time to scroll back. I don't scroll back and go, oh, what was that quote? That was so great. If that was meant to be that quote, I would have shared today with someone, or it would have been out there by now. I've forgotten it and looking for a new quote. That's how I am.
That's great. Any final thoughts for today? Any last words?
Last words. Oh, there's never a last word. There's always more words and never enough time. So when we're engaged in good conversation, it's always hard to end. No, I appreciate. I've always wanted to do more podcasts and more. So this I look forward to kind of hearing it. And I just think I hope people enjoyed it, and it's getting back to your values and sticking with them in your business model, and dare to be different. Take some advice, but don't take it all. Create your own plate, fill it up, change it up, and throw some mushrooms on it once in a while, and go down that road you've never traveled. And if it's in a van, and if you get stuck, that's okay. You're going to get out. We use a lot of figurative speech like that because it's about the plate, it's about the van, it's about driving and exploring, and we live and breathe that. And the day you stop doing that, you probably need to leave the Yukon. Yeah.
Oh, thanks so much for your time today, Teena.
You're welcome. Okay, thanks.